Evening, everyone, and welcome to the September 20th, 2016 Town Hall meeting of the Town of Ossining. Please stand and join me for the Pledge of Allegiance.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
So we have an exciting agenda tonight. I'm going to keep the announcement portion brief. We had a wonderful weekend in Ossining with many outdoor events, specifically those related to the Hudson River Valley Rambo. We had a crowd at Sparta Cemetery to hear famed storyteller Jonathan Krupp recount the story of Ossining's own Leatherman, which was followed by the dedication of a Legends and Lore sign marking his grave. We are so thankful to the Ossining Historic Cemeteries Conservancy for putting this great event together and for everything they do to preserve and protect Ossining's history. Don't miss the fantastic Ramble events this coming weekend, including the chance to hike with your Senator, David Carlucci, who will be leading a hike at T-Town starting at 8 a.m. this Saturday, September 24th. Make sure to register for this chance to talk with your Senator about all the work he's doing in Ossining while enjoying our beautiful nature preserve. Registration is required. Please call 914-941-2041 to reserve your spot. We also hosted 2 Mind, Body, Spirit Ossining events at Engle Park this past weekend, with boot camp sponsored by Club Fit on Saturday and a football-themed Sunday Fun Day workout with Enrique Rosario of ICU Fitness. Our programming for 2016 is coming to an end this weekend, so be sure not to miss this weekend's offerings. On Saturday, September 24th, Open Door will be hosting Recess Rocks at Nelson Park at 9:30 a.m. So bring your kids to shake, rattle, and roll with this fun, dynamic movement program for elementary school children. On Sunday the 25th, join Sue Radpavar of Studio 95 for a Zumba dance party at Engle Park, kicking off at 3 p.m. We've gotten a ton of great feedback about the programs this summer, and we're eager to see what other community fitness groups will join us with in 2017. We also plan to share the results of the first year of this initiative with you soon at an upcoming work session. Also this weekend, the Maryknoll Fathers and Brothers will be hosting a car cruise and drive-in showing of the 1973 film American Graffiti on Saturday, September 24th at 85 Ryder Road. The car cruise begins at 4 p.m. and the movie starts at 7:15. Make sure to arrive early to get a good spot and bring some money for hot dogs, hamburgers, and egg creams delivered to you via car hop. And of course, DJ Johnny will be there supplying the tunes. On Sunday the 25th, Chatham Yacht Club will be hosting the Ossining Food Pantry for their 28th annual celebration from 4 to 7 p.m. Tickets are $50 each, and if you plan to attend, please park on the riverside of the train station parking lot. There will be shuttles there down to Chatham, and there's no parking on the site. Next week, Assemblywoman Sandy Galiff and Senator David Carlucci will be hosting their senior fair on Thursday, September 29th, between 10 a.m. and 1 p.m. at the community center. All are welcome to learn about services and resources available to our seniors and their caregivers. Finally, Green Ossining's fall tag sale is scheduled for October 1st between 10 a.m. and 4 p.m. If you want to get on the list and register and clean out your garage, make sure that you do so on the tag sale site, greenossining.org/tag sale. Tonight, we have 3 let me just ask if anybody else has any additional announcements for colleagues? Okay, hearing none. So tonight we have a number of exciting presentations. We're going to start off with our Ossining School Superintendent, Mr. Raymond Sanchez, and our Ossining Schools Director of Elementary Teaching and Learning, Ms. Carrie Ann Sipos, and they're going to present a really exciting program called Ossining Basics. It's a community-wide collective impact program that's designed to help get every child in our community from birth to age 3 with pre-literacy skills that they need to thrive in school. This program is modeled on one recently rolled out in Boston, and it's a simple collective impact initiative with 5 basic messages for parents, caregivers, and anyone that interacts with children to know and understand how to help all of our littlest children get ready to learn. We also will have, followed by the school district, we will hear from Victoria Caffarelli from my office, who's going to present some more details on a project for which we have applied for several grants. We're excited to talk to you more about it. We've spoken a little bit about it at some of our legislative sessions. The most recent grant we applied for was a joint application with the Village and Town of Austin and Newcastle for a project that will connect open spaces to commercial corridors, starting at the train station in Austin and going all the way to the popular North County Trailway in Millwood via biking and walking trails. We've gotten a lot of local support for this project, and it's something that we're hopeful will come to fruition soon for our collective benefit. Finally, we will be hearing from Julia Rivera from Live on New York, who's going to share with us a program that we're very excited about. On October 6th, Oregon Donor Enrollment Day will take place throughout New York State, and we want OSNI to lead the way and show what we're really made of. So we formed Team OSNI. We need to do our part to get New York State off of the bottom of the list of organ donor registrants. Right now, we're 50th out of 50 states in the US, which is not something that we should be bragging about, especially since we have about 120,000 people that are on the wait list for organs or tissues. Julia shared this presentation with us and with Mayor Garrity last week, and I believe you'll be as excited as we are to participate. After the 3 presentations, we will hold a special meeting to pass some resolutions clarifying the high bidders in our foreclosure auctions and a resolution authorizing New York State DOT to relocate a town sewer as part of a major project at Route 134 and 9A. Something that we've talked about a little bit and will probably be taking place in the fall. Note to the school district, there will be some transportation issues probably associated with that road work that the DOT will be doing. However, we also have a resolution with some sad news. Our planning board chair, Ingrid Richard, has resigned, and we have a resolution tonight to formally accept that resignation, as well as a resolution to name an acting chair. Ingrid has long been a fixture in OSNI and was ready and willing to step in when the town needed help on the planning board. Ingrid is known for being strong, yet measured, decisive, yet thoughtful, and she has been a valuable asset to the town these past 2 years. Your new town is lucky to have you and your wonderful family, and we will miss you dearly, Ingrid. So please join us up here with the town board to be recognized. We are so grateful for all that you've given to us on the planning board. So Ingrid, we have a certificate of appreciation for you in recognition of your many contributions to the Austin community, most recently your dedicated service as town planning board chair. We are incredibly thankful and grateful for your thoughtful and strong leadership, and we know that your enthusiasm and work ethic will be a bright light in your new community, just as it was in ours. Thank you so much.
Well, I've enjoyed working in the town of Ossining. I started, very thankful to Catherine Borgia, who appointed me as Citizen Finance Advisory Committee member and a zoning board member. So it started back when Catherine was the supervisor, and then the town supervisor at the time, Sue Donnelly, appointed me as chair. And now we're working with Dana Levenberg and her board, and she's been extremely supportive of the planning board during my term. So thank you all for all of your support.
We expect we're going to hear very great things about you in the future. We already do.
You're welcome. Thank you.
Great. Does your family want to come up and accept this with you? Do you want to come up? Take a picture. Great.
Tiny boundary lines.
All right. Yay.
Thank you. Say thank you to the town. Hopefully there will be servers of their communities when they get older.
Absolutely.
That's why we
You
brought-
guys
that's
need
why
to
we-
be very, very proud.
You need to be very, very proud of your mom.
Thank you. Thank you.
And you know what? You guys also supported her to let her go to all those meetings, right? And everything that you have to do to be a volunteer citizen participant. So we're very, very appreciative. Yes.
Thank you all.
Lots of hours.
It's all beautiful work.
Alright, so I think that up next we're going to hear about Ossining Basics. And I'm going to pass the baton to our formidable leader of our school district, and Carrie Ann Seiko's also, so we can hear from Ray Sanchez and Carrie Ann, who can tell us all about Ossining Basics and why you need all of us to be partners in this initiative.
All right, so good evening, everyone. I want to start by thanking the town board for the opportunity to present Ossining Basics, specifically Stan Levenberg for reaching out to us and to share some ideas and some details around the Ossining Basics. So let me just start off with the why, and why would we actually even begin to talk about the Ossining Basic Initiative. The Ossining Basic Initiative is based on the fact that we know that 80% of students' brain development starts at ages in the first 3 years. We also know, based on some of the work from Ron Ferguson, that the achievement gap for students starts by the age of 2. And so this initiative is really working as a community. What I mean by community is everyone contributing to the wellness of our students and our families right at birth. And this is based on a concept that has already started. There's already been a kickoff in Boston. There's only one other community outside of Ossining that is trying to replicate it. That is in Chattanooga. And there is word that there are other communities that are seeking to perhaps model some of the work that's being done in Boston. There is no formula to the Ossining Basics or the actual initiative itself. It's going to be unique to each of the communities. However, there are 5 principles that we'll talk about that are really key to the work as it relates to this initiative. So I'm just going to walk through some of the slides for you. The first, So the first is that early childhood is a time when the brain is growing rapidly and developing connections in response to new information. And in fact, 80% of brain growth happens by the age of, in the first 3 years of life. The question is, how do we reach these families? We know that we do a wonderful job, and our staff do a wonderful job once they enter our schools. And what we want to do as a community is reach our students at birth, and particularly in these very vulnerable years. We want to maximize our children's brain development and learning when they're very, very young by providing them opportunities and giving them hope and helping support their dreams. We know that parents can make a difference, and that's why we're here and pleased to introduce to you the Ossining Basics. There are a number of individuals that are part of this. Not only is our town been part of these meetings, but also our village, our public library, our Ossining Police Department, Open Door, various other organizations that are helping us get this started. So I'm going to turn it over to Carrie Ann Seiko, who will share a little bit of information regarding the 5 key principles.
So as Mr. Sanchez shared, this is really based in the research that brain development, birth to 3, is really an essential and crucial time for our earliest learners. And so we are trying to gather the entire community to work together collectively to strengthen our efforts in helping our kids grow birth to 3 years old. Like Mr. Sanchez said, we are using the Boston Basics as a model, and we're creating our own new movement here called the Ossining Basics. Today we had a really awesome, wonderful meeting with a lot of people from this community to make plans for how this will unfold in this community. But the Ossining Basics is based on 5 really important principles. They seem really simple for a lot of us, but it's really the collective work around these 5 simple principles that can really change the lives of our youngest people in the community. So the first one is called Maximize Love and Manage Stress. So if everyone stood behind that principle and did some work in their own homes and in our community as a whole group, our kids would be really healthy. And we would really strengthen their brain development between the ages of 0 and 3. The second principle is talk, sing, and Ron Ferguson will say point, because vocabulary development comes from pointing. That it's not just about talking and singing and growing language through song and discussions with your kids, but it's really pointing out new words for our kids to learn. The third principle is count, group, and compare. And it's the beginning of mathematical reasoning. And if we were all just playing with our kids and really engaging them in those simple fun activities of just walking up the stairs and counting and looking at things and saying, oh, that's bigger, or that number is larger, and just observing their world, we could develop their beginning mathematical skills and prepare them for the start of their journey in our school system. Explore through movement and play is another principle. It is super important for our little people to be moving. It is super important for our little people to be playing. And there are things that we as family members, as parents, and as a community can do together to bring this kind of practice to our kids and help them grow. And the last one, which of course is near and dear to my heart, being a literacy person in the district, is the business of reading and discussing stories. We can't really say that enough. We know that reading is really important. We know that literacy development is the key to life, but it is super important for us to recognize the importance of talking about books with our children. So these are the 5 principles that stand inside the Ossining Basics. The movement is about getting the entire community to wrap our arms around all of the children in Ossining. This is all about everyone everywhere in Ossining that has some sort of little pulse on our kids to saturate this community with a message about these 5 principles and help our whole community grow.
Okay, so what we want to do right now is actually share a video. We're going to try our best. To be honest with you, we're going to show the video on screen, and the acoustics are coming out of my iPhone. So,
Creativity.
Next time, won't you sing with me?
Learning begins the moment your child is born.
Baby, baby, baby. Do you want to play too?
Every child is filled with vast potential for success in life. And those first 3 years can have the greatest impact on your child's learning.
Apple, look, where's the strawberries at? Yes, it's lemon too. Kiwi.
Wow, awesome job.
It's all about giving a child a proper start. That's what being a parent is all about.
Yay! We like that song.
I wanted to make sure that I was here every day. Such a joy.
Every parent of every background can make a positive difference in their child's life.
It's pale. Oh.
A few simple, everyday activities can make a big difference.
Those are flowers.
That's why Boston Basics is working with research and community leaders to promote an important new initiative. The Boston Basics are 5 simple principles that we want everyone to know. The first of the Boston Basics is maximize love and manage stress. The second is to talk, sing, and point.
Let's take a bath. A lovely, lovely bath.
The third is to count, group, and compare.
1, 2, 3.
The fourth is to encourage and enable movement in space and play. And the fifth is to read, but not just to read. We want to read and discuss stories.
Whoa, what is that? What does the duck sound like?
These are the 5 fun and simple things that every parent can do beginning from birth.
Oh, yes.
Let's all work together to make sure our children can become the best, most well-prepared they can possibly be.
Maximize love.
And manage stress.
Talk, say,
And point.
Count, group,
y compare.
Explore through
Movement and play.
Read and discuss stories.
So, something that I want to say is while we stand here as members of the Austin School District, I want everyone to know that the Austin Basics is not about our school district. It's a real community effort. Today, in our meeting, the Austin Basics meeting, we had representatives from all over this community working together and making plans for unpacking and unfolding this important movement. It was very inspiring. We have representatives, some of the members here on this little bubble map, and others as well. Sitting in the meeting today, we have people from the library, we have people from the rec department, the town, we have people from Open Doors, the police department was there today, and so that's just the beginning of our committee. It is not a district initiative in any way, it's a community movement. And so we wanted to start the movement here, giving you some background information, but to also inform you that our future looks a little bit like this. It's to begin to spread the word. There's a lot of training that has to take place inside the Austin Basics group and then outside in the community. We have big ideas for a launch. We have ideas for all kinds of training going on at different times of the year around all of the principles that were shared here. And then we look to have a celebration at the end of the year and reflect and think about how we can make it even better for next year. So I just wanted to say that I'm actually a proud member of the district, but I'm looking so forward to working with the entire community to move this important work forward.
I just want to add that it's extremely humbling to work with so many committed individuals on behalf of our community. It's been really, really great in terms of our focus. It's been about the children, it's about our community, and how we can all contribute in different ways. And the truth is that when we came to the table, come into the room, everyone can find a way, and has found a way in which they can contribute and help support the initiative. As Carrie Ann mentioned, there's a training that's taken place. There's a website that we've secured, the austinbasics.org. Right now there's bostonbasics.org. And we hope we'll have all the materials associated with the Austin Basics, which is very similar to the Boston Basics. Materials like those that you have in hand, those are pamphlets that we hope families can either download, have in various locations throughout our community so that individuals can access, and certainly we can continue discussing and finding ways how this can help support and contribute to our community. So we'll pause and questions.
Thank you so much. I've had the pleasure of participating in the beginnings of this initiative, and I think it's very exciting. I think at first glance, it's not as obvious how a town, municipality, how are we going to help in this? But I think that there are a lot of opportunities, and I think one of the things we've really been talking about is how do we touch parents? How do we reach parents of newborns or young children? A lot of conversations have been around partnerships with Open Door, pediatricians, around hospitals. We talked today about reaching out to obstetricians' offices and even getting in opportunities to speak and train people before they have babies. But also, we have sides of buildings, we have rocks, we have well, I'm talking about the town specifically. What do we have as a municipality that we have transportation. We actually have a senior nutrition program, and our seniors interact a lot with our youth and with young parents on a regular basis, and many of our seniors themselves are caregivers, in our program. So, training. We have a recreation program that we share with the village. We have parks. We have events like our annual fireworks events, our health and wellness initiatives, our green Ossining, all of the different types of things where we reach the public, we have opportunities to communicate, may be opportunities for us to share something within this about these 5 principles and how we can utilize every part of our community to share these messages and make them something that people don't think about, but just kind of gets built into the fabric of our community. So I think that there's a real opportunity, and I just wanted to say that before we get into any questions, and then open it up for questions, because at least that's where my head is at. So I'd love to know, if the board had any comments, and also open it up to the public if the public has any comments or questions. So I'll start with the board. Anybody has any comments, questions, or suggestions, or recommendations, or anything, any areas that you think we could add?
Well, I have to say, I really love this idea. I love this program. I'm a big believer in, early education. I did it with my own kids. I know we came to programs here at the library. The recreation department had infant sing-alongs and programs. I'm wondering if we can't use our Easter egg hunts. And there's a lot of little kids that come out to that. The Halloween events. There are a lot of events that we do as a community. I think that could really reach out. The pancake breakfast with Santa, all the places that the parents bring the young kids to interact with the community for the first time. I think are great opportunities to expand this, and we can make it grow from there. I think it'll be great. Pediatric dentist's office, absolutely.
I like the idea of this program too, and my granddaughter is a teacher in DC, and I'm going to send her this information because she teaches kindergarten through 7th grade, I believe, or 1st grade, but she deals with the little ones all the time, and it is a great thing for them to start. And and if you will notice the kids, you can tell the kids who have been taught at home a lot, how to read, count, and there's a difference in the attitude they have, and I think it's great. And she's working with I think this is about her 4th or 5th year as a teacher, so I'm going to let her look at this. What she thinks too.
You also remind me that you're very involved in one of our faith-based institutions, and that's another area of outreach for this program that we think can really make a big impact to reach out to our all of our faith-based organizations. Hmm? And then you mentioned something else before that I said that wasn't exactly town, I was just talking about town. Was there something else you said before? Anyway, if you think about it.
This is a fabulous program, and of course, kudos to Ossining to bring it forward. I can't think of a better community to do this. There are so many things. My kids are in their 20s now, but there were so many things to do when they were younger, and there's so much more to do now even. We have spray parks, and we have this great community pool with a play area for the kids. There's always something going on at the library, and there's so many organizations, daycare centers, the Ossining Children's Center, so many places that really take on the concept of it takes a village to raise a child. So what a wonderful thing to have in our community. Very excited about participating and thinking of all kinds of ways we can enhance what we already have and make it even stronger so that all children in our community really have the benefits of thriving, nurturing, active early childhood.
Yeah, that reminded me of, I think actually Phil would be another awesome partner. Because obviously people who live in homes often have children, and you guys are all about making sure people have safe and affordable housing. So I think that's another opportunity for partnership. And the other thing, that we do also reach people through our tax office and our assessor's office. I mean, there's a lot of other ways that we in our building department and our all of these places that may not seem obvious, but we have an opportunity to connect with our community. It's also an opportunity to get a message about about this initiative, I think, and all of these behind the five principles. So I just want to thank you and ask you if you have any last after hearing. Is there anybody from the public who wanted to add anything? We're very appreciative, and we hope that everybody at home had an opportunity to hear about this. You may have seen it when the school district presented it to the Board of Education, but again, we want this not to just be something that's just coming from the school. So we want everybody to have an opportunity to hear how we can work together on this. So, do you have any last?
I just want to thank you for the opportunity, and just leave it with stay tuned, because there's definitely more to come, and we appreciate the support. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Up next, we're going to hear from Victoria Caparelli, who's been doing a phenomenal job from our office, working on applying for grants, finding ways for us to make town of Ossining and village and all of our surrounding areas a better place to live, work, and play. And to that point, we're going to talk a little bit about sort of a big vision that we have and how we've gone about targeting grant applications to that initiative. And hopefully, if we can get some seed money to start looking into it, we can make it happen, let's say, in 5 years. But if you don't start somewhere, you don't ever get to your end result. So,
yeah, we're ready. Okay. So as Dana explained, this is a project that we've been working on pretty much throughout the summer. And I'm here to kind of update you on the progress we've made and some of the hard work we've been doing to get this kind of kick-started and going along. So the idea for this open space corridor plan and cohesive biking pedestrian trails came from a member of our EAC who presented to us that there may be a way to get from Ryder Park to T-Town without using a car, without driving. And so then we started thinking, well, what if somebody went from Ryder Park to the North County Trailway, or what if they came from the train station and wanted to visit our area from the city? How can we make it so that somebody can come to Ossining and Newcastle and experience all we have to offer, and in a safe and eco-friendly and all sorts of things way. Okay, so some of the goals that we've identified for this project Firstly is to promote economic development. So through providing alternative transportation options, this provides individuals who can't obtain a driver's license or who are too young to obtain a driver's license have more job accessibility. It also will help promote ecotourism, so say somebody wants to come and visit Austin from the city, they can bike, they can walk, they can enjoy everything we have to offer. And also support some of our small businesses by supporting businesses on North State Road from bikers or downtown Austin from people who are coming from Marino, whatever. There's a lot of connections to be made. And then also, this is a great opportunity to improve access to some of the great recreational and parks resources that we have in our community. Connections to neighborhoods without using a car would be really beneficial and would also significantly reduce our environmental impact by allowing people to maybe even walk to school or bike to school or walk to work or walk to the train station. We can make Ossining and some of our neighboring communities a much more environmentally friendly community. Okay, so this is a map that may be a little hard to see, but it shows some of the commercial areas, the recreational areas, and the cultural resources that we have in our community that we hope to connect with this plan. I'll kind of go through them a little more in detail, blown up. So here we have the commercial districts that we hope to connect here. So obviously the downtown Village of Austin area, as well as the town's North State Road business corridor. And
so you're looking at the circles, right?
Yeah, the circle, the stars actually, the purple stars are our beautiful commercial zones here. And then also, as Dana mentioned earlier, we've been working closely with the town of Newcastle to see how access to the North County Trailway could also provide access to their business districts, including the Millwood Hamlet, which is getting a new grocery store and has lots of lovely things to offer, especially to people who are biking on the North County Trailway or enjoying getting a park over there. So those are the three major commercial districts. And we also have mentioned that there may be potential to connect to the Village of Briarcliff or maybe even Yorktown. The possibilities are kind of endless with this project. And then the recreational resources, which are our green arrows now, we're adding to our lovely map here. We have the many trails like the Croton Aqueduct and the North County Trailway. And if you notice the red lines going throughout the map there, those are all of the trails. So in the middle you have the Briarcliff Peaksville Trailway. So something that we also identified when we started looking at some of these maps is that a lot of the trails in our area run north-south. Sorry. Do you see this here? So that's the Briarcliff Peaksville Trailway there. Then over here, this red thing here is parts of the old Croton Aqueduct and also the Riverwalk, which kind of goes to the left here. And then over in this area, close to Millwood, is the North County Trailway. So we have all of these beautiful trails that run north-south, but there's no real way to go between them. So you can spend a day on the North County Trailway, but if you wanted to go back to the Croton Aqueduct and go back to Croton or get on a train, you can't really do that safely without having a car. So that was kind of a main goal that we started looking at. Sorry, okay. And then also, there's connection to our riverfront. So there's Riverwalk, there's all of the beautiful opportunities you have at the Hudson River to enjoy the recreational opportunities that Hudson River has to offer, as well as some of our parks. So like I mentioned earlier, one of the first parks we identified that could be connected through here would be Ryder Park. But then also, when we started talking to Newcastle, they loved the idea of also connecting to Getty Park in their municipality. And then we also have in our yellow arrows here, some of the important cultural resources that are definitely going to bolster tourism in our area, especially in the next coming years, such as the Sing Sing Prison Museum and the Bethany Art Center, and already we have Maryknoll, which is a destination for the Catholic community throughout the world, and also employs a lot of people in our area, and might be a good opportunity to have access to Maryknoll without needing a car. Okay, so some of the progress that we've made. So as Dana mentioned, we've applied to 2 different grant opportunities. The first was the Consolidated Funding Application with New York State. and we applied to both the Empire State Development Program for strategic planning and feasibility studies, and also the Environmental Protection Fund, which funds projects for parks, preservation, and heritage projects. Then most recently, in partnership with the Village of Ossining and the Town of Newcastle, we applied to the Hudson River Valley Greenway Conservancy Trail Grant Program. So we worked together with them to create an application that would involve all 3 municipalities working together to work on this project. We've also worked very closely with Westchester County Planning Department, who have agreed to assist us in some of the planning aspects and as we develop further with the project. We've also worked with a few consultants just to kind of iron out some of the procedures we need to go through to create a plan, including WXY Studios. They helped us kind of figure out how to involve community participation and get a solid timeline for how to accomplish this, as well as Sam Schwartz Engineers, who we hope will be able to assist us with some traffic engineering when we get farther down the line.
They also gave us estimates that we can include in the grant for how much services like a consultant like them would cost.
And then as we've been applying for the grants, we've reached out to a number of community organizations and representatives that have basically got on board immediately, saying this sounds like an awesome idea, we'd love to be a part of it. So the representatives for both Ossining and Newcastle, on the state level, in Westchester, and Congresswoman Nita Lowey also offered letters of support to our grant applications, and then a number of other organizations like the Ossining School District, T-Town, Bethany Art Center, Mary Knoll, so on and so forth, including Westchester Cycle Club. They gave us some suggestions for individuals in our community that would love to participate in planning this project, so it's been received very well. So the timeline that we have in our mind for this project involves a lot of community involvement. So we hope to, if we are awarded a grant or when we're ready to start this project, to develop an intermunicipal steering committee that would include staff, residents, and stakeholders from the Village of Ossining, the Town of Ossining, and the Town of Newcastle to kind of sit down and then, in step 2, start looking at a map, like the map I showed before, and thinking about, okay, which streets are safest for possible bike lanes? Which properties have easements that we could put trails on? How can we connect, the Peekskill Trailway to T-Town? Where are those properties, and how is the easiest way to do this in the safest and most feasible way? Then with assistance from Westchester County, they've agreed to help us with some of the trail mapping and the GIS identification of some of these parcels and right-of-ways and easements that we need to work out before we can actually build the trail. Okay? Yeah, sure. Geographic information systems. Okay, and then in phase 2, this is where we would engage a traffic engineer to help us ensure that the bike lanes and the paths that we're looking to create are safe and are not going to harm normal traffic patterns, and also ensure the safety of everybody who's enjoying these paths. And also involve some of our lawyers and legal representation to ensure that the plan is good, set in stone, ready to go, and have a last committee review of what we're looking at. And then turn to municipal boards of the village and town and the Town of Newcastle to approve and start implementing this plan. Okay? So we're very much at the planning stages, not construction stages. So we've, in this, we've gotten to the point where we kind of have an idea of what the planning process is going to look like. We've also talked about some future things to consider, including possibly having a bike share program so that somebody can get off the train, and if they don't have a bike, they can borrow a bike and enjoy everything we have to offer. Maybe even electric bikes we've looked at, which they do in San Francisco because they have hills 10 times worse than we do. We've also, in looking at this plan, North State Road is going to be at the heart of this trail system, and it may require that North State Road undergo some streetscaping improvements, and possibly also have a bike lane along North State Road to encourage bikers to come onto North State Road and frequent some of the small businesses there, and have lunch and stuff like that. We've also, I know Dana has had some conversations with people with the state to start consider how DOT will handle this plan if we need to involve the state roads in the area, and also the New York State Parks Department so that they can be involved in making sure this goes forward. We've also started thinking about some future grants, including the next year's consolidated funding application. We may be in a better position to apply to New York State for funding for construction once we have a plan in place. And we've also started thinking about, too, there are many other municipalities that are considering similar situations, including some of the river towns have plans to create bike lanes along Route 9 so that it connects to the Tappan Zee Bridge. So this is a very common theme throughout our area, to improve bike and pedestrian accessibility, and we should all kind of get involved together and work together to make that happen. Okay, so that's where we are.
Thank you so much. Thanks, Victoria. That was a really great presentation. One of the things that we would have as an obstacle to those electric assist bikes, which is something that would really be helpful getting from the train station up the hill in Ossining, is that they're actually not legal in New York State. So that's an area that we need to work on with our state legislators. Oh yeah, that's why I'm looking over at you. In any case, anyway, it's very exciting. We really have had such an enormous amount of positive feedback about this. I think I talked about it at an earlier meeting when we were talking about applying for this grant in the first place. There was a gentleman who called up and was talking about that he didn't really feel like that 133 Croton Avenue in Ossining ever got the attention that it deserved. And the DOT had basically told him, yeah, too bad. It's not on our list of priorities. And there's a lot of roads in New York State, and obviously we have to do our best to advocate for them. But one of the things that kind of occurred to me at that time was that there may be an opportunity in that statement, because the state is really working towards making roads more safer, bikeable, walkable. And even though it doesn't seem at first glance that 133 would be a safe road, it wouldn't be today as it is. I think that maybe there's an opportunity to kind of relook at it and rethink it. There's an awful lot of work ahead to get to that point, and we might have a lot of people saying, no. But we aren't going to know if we don't take a look and work at it. And I think that, I just keep thinking if New York City can put bike lanes in, anybody can. We have a lot more room on 133. So, and I think it would also be, it would get people to slow down if there were some kind of a demarcation. And that's what, that's really what has happened elsewhere where they put bike lanes. They do it around the world, so why not in Ossining? Anyway, love to hear questions or feedback from anybody, any of my board colleagues on this, and if you have any other thoughts about moving forward as we do move forward. And again, we're really at the very beginning stages, just looking for grant to start studying the feasibility of this.
Do you guys know what the timeline is for the CFA responses at this point?
We usually hear in December. That's annually, they announce in December. They've already identified priority projects. I think I announced in the update that I sent out that they had identified they announced, the regions announced what they were nominating for priority projects to go to the state review committee. And the state review committee looks and decides which ones they believe and which regions they believe should win. The top 3 regions get the big bucks, and then the rest of the regions, I think there's 10 altogether, so the other 7 regions get not as big of the big bucks, but still plenty of bucks. And they then just tend to distribute those bucks to the projects that they've identified as priority. We did apply for priority project status. We knew, I have to be honest, we knew we weren't going to get priority project status, but it kind of puts you into the mix at a different level for consideration, and they look at you, and if they like your project, they may give you some kind of score, even in that then helps you get a better score when all of the different agencies in the state look at it. So they can be looking at it. even if we don't get CFA funding this year, the fact that we also applied for this Greenway grant, this is a little bit of an easier lift to get the Greenway grant, and we had a lot of help also from Town of Newcastle Planning Department in writing the grant, and it was very, very useful. And again, the maps were from Westchester County Planning, and having all of these partners also helps our chances of getting these certificate grants. So hopefully if we get the Greenway grant this year to do feasibility, it'll help us again next year. And we put ourselves in the mix this year just by putting the grant application in.
Okay, so with the Greenway grant, it was a request for, is it money, is it funding amount specifically for feasibility? How much money is that possible?
So the Greenway grant was a $40,000 max grant request. So with the 50-50 match of in-kind services, so because of the participation from the Village of Austining, Town of Newcastle, ourselves, and Westchester County, we far exceeded
that
estimates.
50-50.
Yeah. So it's 40,000 grant from Greenway.
And do we think that that would be enough in terms of, would that 40, I mean, do we know what the estimation is for a feasibility study?
Yeah, we believe that that will help us, that will support the funding for the traffic engineers. The initial phase of sitting down with stakeholders in Westchester County is all going to be funded with in-kind services. So we can all kind of sit down and do that initial planning stage and turn it over to experts and for legal review, and that's where the grant funding will come in. We believe that that will be sufficient.
Thank you.
At some point, we may be looking. I mean, we're going to be looking for more grant money all along the way to get us to the next stage.
I wanted to know what I saw the community there. What can the community do? I mean, I don't understand what that was about.
Well, the community involvement we're envisioning is having residents and some stakeholders, such as, we've reached out to Maryknoll. They're very excited to participate. So perhaps we'll have a representative from Maryknoll sit on that committee to kind of help us identify spaces that we all feel to be a safe location for trails. So it will be residents, it will be organizations, as well as town staff. And then eventually we will also turn it over to community review at some stage of the review process for the general community to kind of provide an input.
I think it's also to get input. So where, how do we connect the dots? Where is the best, safest place? How are we going to get support so people feel that this is going to be something that they want to do instead of that was thrust upon them. So, you want to get as much community input as you can along the way at the beginning. So, what if we were to connect Rydell Park to all the way, so that you could hike all the way from Rydell Park to T-Town? Would people do that? Would they want to? How would the schools be involved? It might cross over Brookside through Maryknoll property and then up into the trailway. So how would these different groups be involved? Who do they bring to the table that would want to use this trail? How would we be using it? How often would we be using it? How would we maintain the trail? I also had the opportunity to talk at the Mid-Hudson Regional Economic Development Council. I think I mentioned at the last meeting, with somebody from a regional parks representative. Many of you do know Linda Cooper, and she was very enthusiastic about this. And then she put me in touch with somebody from Scenic Hudson, because they're working on something like this in Tarrytown and Sleepy Hollow. They were also very excited about the possibility of maybe working with us next year, because they don't have funding this year in their budget, and if we were to get grant money, they could see it as an opportunity to connect with the trail work and paths that they're working on in those communities, so that we could have a contiguous connector. The big opportunity here, I think, is connecting east-west, because really we don't have anything like that right now, and I think that that's an amazing opportunity to really touch on the economic development, touch on our open space corridors, touch on our recreation areas and our cultural resources. Thank you so much, Victoria, and for all your hard work on these grants. You've really done a yeoman's job, so thank you. Great presentation. All right, and next up, we're very excited to have Julia Rivera, who's going to talk to us all about Organ Donor Enrollment Day on October 6th in New York State and how OSNI is going to be participating. Well, you're going to talk about the statewide initiative. And thank you so much for coming here tonight.
Thank you for having me. Just in case the sound is not operating. I'm going to tell you a little bit about who we are, about New York, the state of organ and tissue donation in our state as compared to the rest of the country. And then I'm going to talk about this very exciting activity that we've engaged. This is our second annual Donor Enrollment Day, and we're very excited. When I last spoke to Dana and her team, we had, I believe, 127 teams. We have now 133 teams, and it's very exciting. We have Walgreen, Alaris, several of the towns in Westchester. I think we have 6 towns that have signed up, and the mayor of Yonkers is considering signing up. I was speaking to the borough president in Brooklyn, in Queens, this morning, and they have 14 district managers, and they all seem to be very excited, including one new one who happens to be a recipient of an organ. So it was very, very positive. Okay. No, it should say OSNI. But you know what? If you get the mayor of Yonkers, maybe you can just do that, because it's the same presentation. I'm sorry. Let's just go there. Yes. It's very different to come up here in the evening versus the day. Very dark roads. So it's quite amazing. So I apologize for that. It should, I think I may have probably the wrong drive, but in any case, we'll move right along with it. So Live on New York. Our mission is to help save lives, to provide comfort, and to help strengthen legacies. We are one of 48 organ recovery organizations in the United States, one of 4 in New York State. And we have about 128 staff members. Most of our staff are critical care nurses who are trained and certified to work with families and work with hospitals whenever we receive a call. In the United States, when somebody is approaching brain death or any kind of death, they have to contact an organ recovery organization and notify us. So we have a 24/7 operation. We hear in our area from 98 hospitals, and we have 40 of them signed up for Donor Enrollment Day. This is our designated service area. It's kind of set up based on census boundaries. We cover all of the northern counties all the way up to Poughkeepsie, a small county in Pennsylvania called Pike, all of Long Island, and the 5 boroughs. About 13 million people that we serve. And I want to show you this little clip. We're having the same problem that I have this thing. This is embedded in the drive, so I'm not understanding why it's not oh.
fine when I was in the office, so I don't know when that happened. So let me tell you a little bit about the need. Okay, so in the United States, there are about 120,000 people awaiting a life-saving transplant. 10% of those that are listed in the United States are New York residents. Unfortunately, every 18 hours, a New Yorker dies waiting for a life-saving transplant, primarily because there are not enough people signed up on the registry or willing to donate. We have about 27% of the eligible population signed up on the New York State Registry. The rest of the country has approximately an average of 50. Some states have up to 80. There are some good news, and we're gaining tremendous momentum. Right now, of the 5 fastest growing states, New York is #1. So that's good news. Through that process, and what we know in terms of best practices is that those states that have a healthy registry, where people sign up to be organ donors, also have a higher donation rate, a higher consent rate. What we've seen this last year is a 17% increase in organ transplant, and that's a very significant number. We've also seen tremendous support at the legislature. Recently, a bill to lower the age of individuals that can sign up on the registry was approved. So prior to February, actually it's February 14th, on Valentine's Day, prior to that day of 2017, only a person who was 18 and above could sign up on the registry. Effective next year, because of the young adult bill, 16 and 17-year-olds can sign up on a registry of intention with parental consent. And at the point that they become 18 years old, they will be consented donors. We also have Lawrence Law that was passed, and basically it had been passed previously, but it was not made into a required feature on the driver's license. Basically, Lawrence Law implemented a feature that said that you could sign up in a box or not at this time, except that it was not a required feature, so we didn't see any changes. Now, you have to either select to be an organ donor or not at this time. And the reason not at this time is that it still provides an opportunity when a person dies in a hospital for the recovery organization to have a conversation with their family. Many times, people that are not signed up, including children, the parents, because of how they are and because of their qualities and expressions, sometimes they say, oh my goodness, my son, my daughter, my wife was the life of the party. They were very giving. They participated in their congregation. They gave to the homeless. They gave in the school. They ran programs to get youth involved and leadership. So because of those qualities, they offered their organs for donation. In addition to that, the HOPE Act, which was something that started through the federal government, now provides an opportunity for people who are HIV positive to donate to HIV positive individuals who need a transplant. And this is really very important because in many cases it offers a life-saving opportunity for individuals that would die, not only because of the HIV positive illness, but because of the organ failure. Another legislation that was passed, and we've had tremendous support from both sides of the aisle in terms of legislation, was to make sure that the health care exchange program would also include the organ donation option in their enrollment forms. And this is very important because until recently, in the last 3 years, 4 years, the only portal through which you could sign up to be an organ donor was when you applied for a new license, when you renewed your license, or applied or renewed a non-driver's ID. Since that time, things have changed, and we have a number of different ways. If the person is applying for health care, they can sign up. If they register to vote, the option is in the voter registration form. So the idea is for people, because New Yorkers, 9 out of 10 New Yorkers support donation, and yet we only have 27% signed up. So it hasn't been an easy process. The system that we've had has not been user-friendly. Then, of course, the New York City implemented a Muni ID, and through conversations, we were able to include that. Here is another, it's so sad that we cannot do the videos. But the ad that I was going to show you was a very special ad that we were able to do through a support from a very award-winning I think he had the Oscar for the short animated film, Fitzgerald. And he did a beautiful animated film about Long Live New York. And it began a whole movement. Our campaign, Long Live New York, has evolved now to Long Live Matilda, or Long Live Dashia. Matilda is a young little girl who received a liver when she was about 2 months old. Can you hear me now? I'm sorry. So the campaign, as you see at the bottom, it says in 2012 she needed a new liver. In 2016 she just needs a nap. A good example of what organ, eye, and tissue donation is. On the other side, we have Long Live Dashia. Dashia is a professional marketer. She's done some fantastic work. She also does real estate. She had to stop her career. Dashia needs a heart. And you'll see on the bottom it says, if this is her smile, well, smile waiting for heart, imagine what it would look like if she gets it. Dashia has signed up to be one of the teams during Donor Enrollment Day. So Donor Enrollment Day is basically an idea, a simple idea, to really touch on the pride of New Yorkers, to try to get that 9 out of 10 group of New Yorkers that support donation to sign up. It is dedicating one single day where we galvanize the community. We have teams of individuals, teams of 10, hospital teams, company teams, civic organizations, support groups, hit the streets. And on October 6th of 2015, and you see some of the pictures, we were able to galvanize the community, and we had an amazing result, and I'm not even going to try that. We had 3,100 enrollments in a single day. And we're talking about 8-hour day, okay? This year, we think we can beat the record. Last year, we beat the national record, which was in Illinois, just a little bit over 2,500. We went to 3,100. We think we can do better this year. So the big idea is basically to create one day focus on one goal, driving enrollment, galvanize the community to hit the streets, and we kind of create a team competition. It's kind of catching on. Some of the towns want to make sure that they do better than the other towns up in the Westchester area. Some of the counties, Orange County decided that they're going to do an enrollment, but they're going to do a press release, and then they're going to do enrollment on their legislative evening. Some of the other communities are being a little bit more creative. They're hitting Starbucks, they're hitting Walgreens, they're hitting the libraries. Today, the New York City Library gave us 2 locations, and as I said previously, the Queensborough president was kind of galvanizing the 14 district managers to compete against each other. So we'll see what happens. We had incredible participation from elected officials, Senator Peralta, Lupinacci, Carlucci. Senator Carlucci has been an amazing advocate for organ donation, taking the lead on a number of levels, but we've also had incredible support from the legislators out in Long Island. And some counties are officially proclaiming October 6th as Donor Enrollment Day. So we are getting already some proclamations dedicated to Donor Enrollment Day. And the idea basically is to galvanize the community and to bring attention to the cause. Last year we had amazing PR. Reporters wanted to see what's happening. We're already getting calls. We have a toolkit that we're giving out so that any of the teams that want to generate their own press, they can do it, but this is my job to make sure that I work with all of the teams to get some attention in what they're doing, how creative they are, and to generate enrollments and see how we can beat last year's record. So these are some of the ways that you can join us. The town of Ossining has already signed up to be one of the teams, and I believe that the last time we spoke, they were already meeting to come up with some very specific actions. I'm not quite sure what those are, but you'll let me know. We want it to be internally focused as well as externally focused. So whether you engage the staff in your different organizations or whether you hit the streets and engage the residents, it works. And we can promote your initiatives through our own media channels, but we do provide the toolkit, which has promotional emails, sample newsletters, sample flyers, social media posts. Obviously, we're living in a very new world. A lot of people communicate through tweets and through Facebook. So we do help in that effort. This year, it's bigger, it's better. We want to shatter last year's record. We have more teams. Last year, we had 100 teams. Barely 100 teams. I think we had about 98, but we rounded off. This year we have 133 teams, and those are real teams. And as I said before, they're hospital teams, they're individual teams, they're companies. The partnership with Walgreens is amazing because they gave us 14 sites throughout our donor service area. I know you have one here, and hopefully that will be another site. Wherever you have the highest foot traffic, that's where you want to be. So let's join together and shatter the record. Right here we have kind of 3 buckets that we identify as ways to amplify the message with our partners through emails, through posters, newsletters, I mentioned proclamations, organizational engagements, speaking engagements. We have, I don't know which is your closest hospital, but some of the hospitals are talking about raising flags, so that might be an opportunity. If you decide to do a press conference, you can, and we can help provide. You have in this town a couple of individuals that themselves have been touched by donation, either because they've received or because they have donated. Or a family member has donated. Speaking engagement, lunch and learn, and again, community or staff enrollment events. Let's make Organ Donation Day really, truly successful. Thank you so much for this opportunity. Any questions? Yes.
Okay, so a lot of people I know checked that little box on the back of their license. They didn't actually sign up when they got their license. They just kind of said, oh, look, a box. Do I want to be a donor? Yeah, and they checked it. So they're not counted in that number of percentage?
Well, what happens if you sign up in the DMV field office, you will be on the New York State Registry. And the reason for the registry is very simple. When somebody crushes through the ER because they've had an accident, the ambulance brings you, the first thing they do is they pack all your belongings into a plastic bag. Nobody sees that license. Nobody sees it. So having a registry is very important because when the hospital, and they're two separate functions, the hospitals are not approaching patients or their families to be donors. Okay? They're involved in donor enrollment day, but they refer a potential candidate to us. The recovery organization is mandated by federal law to then have that conversation with the family. Okay? And even if they had it on the license, the family may not know. And so the whole idea is to register on the state registry. We have the conversation with the family. We still have to know and do a social medical history.
Okay, so I'm just saying, I think a lot of people think they're signed up because they check that box, and you may actually get a lot more people, you know, that think they checked signed up, and you have a form to fill out, or
yes,
a
there's
website.
an enrollment form, and I do apologize. I left all your folders in my office. I ran out. So I will be able to send them so that they can be mailed, or you can send me their addresses and I'll mail it to you. But there is a form, and all the teams will have a code. Okay. I gotta say that if you have signed up when you either got your license or renew your license, you will see the heart and organ donor in the front of your license. If you don't see it in the front of your license, you're not on the registry per se, unless you did sign up online, okay? You didn't go to the DMV office. You may be on the registry.
Okay, so if you don't have a heart in the front of your license, you can contact the supervisor's office and we will get you in touch with the registry. Is that about right?
I will say that, and Councilwoman Jeffrey is showing me a heart. She's registered. Yes. Yes, she's registered. So the good news is that, as I mentioned, we are going to participate in this event. We've already signed up as a team. We've already been contacted by Phelps Hospital. They're also a participant, and they want to partner with us, and they want to help by sending volunteers up to Austin, I think, to help out. We have identified that we will be, definitely the community center is going to be a location where we will be having people come and enroll on that day, on October 6th, between 9 and 3. And we're hoping also in the coming weeks to do outreach to some of our local businesses where we think there is a lot of foot traffic, to see if they would be willing to host a volunteer who would be registering people on site at their busiest hours. So stay tuned for more information about that. We've also been in touch with the local Gazette newspaper. We plan to send out a press release, and I'm sure that, well, I'm not sure, but I'm hopeful that my board colleagues would also like to pass a resolution recognizing October 6th as Organ Donor Enrollment Day in Ossining, and if everybody's up for that. I wanted to know, Julia, if you could also just address, I know that there's a lot of questions. In fact, I was down with my dad this past week, and I was telling him a little bit about this. And, you know, he made a comment that our religion doesn't support organ donor or organ donation, and you know, the belief is that you have to be buried intact with everything. And I went online, I read him all the literature that debunked that myth. But I wonder if you could just speak to that a little bit, because I do think that's one of those conversations that people just say automatically, oh no, my religion doesn't let me do that.
Yeah, actually, there's been some studies that show that individuals will, their excuse at the moment is, my religion doesn't support it. We had a conversation once with a family of Catholic, of the Catholic faith, and we told them, yes, your religion supports it. As a matter of fact, the Pope has a donor card. And the woman said, well, that's the Pope, that's not us. Okay? So it's usually an excuse. All the major religions support donation. In the Jewish faith, there are several different sects, they're not really groups there are certain groups more ultra-Orthodox, don't support donation, and yet they have received transplantation. So, you know, it's within certain communities, it's a belief system. We work with rabbis, both males and females, that help us whenever there's a family that needs clarification. We call a religious leader of the religious faith so that they can explain it. And I'm sorry about my language today. I'm very tired. I started very early, so I'm becoming numb. The truth is that all religions, in the Jewish religion is a word, they call it the greatest mitzvah. And I love that because when I looked up what that meant, it is just such a beautiful, you know, tradition and a beautiful way of describing organ donation. Organ donation is about life. It is beautiful. We have donor families that tell us, you know, we thought the worst thing had happened and it was the worst thing and we'll never forget it because it was a terrible tragedy. But at least we know that something good came out of this. Something good that keeps us, you know, together and hopeful that at least somebody benefit. And it's not like you walk in a situation where you've lost a loved one, ready to, you know, say yes, donate the organs. No. You're looking at your loved one and, you know, they're on a machine, they are warm, you know, the first inclination is you don't want to believe that that's happened. So there's a lot of work that has to be done with our families, and part of it is making sure that they're comfortable, that they understand. But we always say that at the point of death, that's not the time to talk about donation. We want to make sure that the public, that every individual is making informed decisions. We're now working with the high schools because young people in their junior and senior year are given the voter form. And many of them just sign it up, but they're not making informed decisions. So we're working with the Department of Education in the city. We're working with the superintendents in the counties, the various counties. I just met your superintendent last week, I guess. And the idea is to provide a curriculum so that young people are making informed decisions. You want to know what you're doing. You want to know that, you know, what's involved, that your family is going to be consulted. Your family is not going to change the fact that we have to honor your wishes. We need to be able to talk to them, and you want to tell them. You want to sign your proxy, so when you're not able to make decisions about your health, that you know who's going to make those decisions. You want to, you know, deal with wills, and you want to make sure that at the point of your death, your family is not left with an incredible load of not knowing what you want.
So these are all some tough conversations, but they are important ones. And thank you so much, Julia, again, for being here tonight. And stay tuned for more information. Does anybody else have any additional questions? If not, I think that we're going to go on to our
Yeah, just one more thing. You can also check our website, liveonny.org, and the staff has my number. Feel free to call me. I'll leave some cards, so if you have additional questions, just call me. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Okay, so I think we mentioned that we have a special meeting right now, which I'd like to open up. Agenda. Can we have a motion to enter into our special meeting?
So, second.
All those in favor? Aye. Opposed? Abstentions? Okay. We are now in our special meeting. Okay. Just take a roll call. Councilwoman Dettori.
Present.
Councilwoman Jeffrey.
Present.
Councilwoman Feldman.
Present.
Councilman Wiltshire.
Present.
And Supervisor Levenberg. Present. Okay. Do we have any public comment on the agenda items? Seeing none, we'll go into board resolutions.
Resolved that the town board hereby accepts with regret the resignation of Town Planning Board Chair Ingrid Richards effective September 7th, 2016.
Motion.
So moved.
Any discussion? I think we've already acknowledged Ms. Richards tonight. We're very sad to be saying goodbye to her. She's done such a great job, and we wish her very very well in her future endeavors. All those in favor? Aye.
Resolved that the town board hereby appoints Ching-Hwa Chin Ossining to the position of acting chair of the Town Planning Board effective September 21st, 2016.
So moved.
Any discussion? So Ching-Hwa has been on the zoning board for many years. I don't have his resume in front of me, but he's also done a lot of work with City of Yonkers, giving legal counsel, especially for land use and zoning. I'm very excited that he's accepted the position to step in as acting chair. As you heard from Ms. Richards earlier tonight, she was also on the zoning board prior to being chair, so she set a good example, and we're hopeful that he will lead us well on the planning board, and also this is an opportunity for anybody who's interested in applying for the position to do so. I think we opened up applications last Friday, and we will, I think in the next, I think we put a deadline of Friday the 14th for receiving applications, and then we'll have a little bit of time to go through the interview process, and then we'll make some sort of a decision in the coming month, probably. October 14th. October 14th. So all those in favor?
Just to give some context to this resolution, I'm not going to read the whole thing. The person who was the high bidder at the foreclosure auction for the Hunter Street lot, we had already passed this exact same resolution, but that buyer wants to be known in all of the closing paperwork instead now as Hunter Lot LLC. Whereas the Town Board of the Town of Ossining passed a resolution on Tuesday, September 13th, 2016, accepting the high bid for the Hunter Street lot auctioned on August 10th, 2016, and whereas the high bidder was named as Carl Dibble of KWD Realty Inc., Irvington, New York, and would now like to be identified differently as Hunter Lot LLC in all purchase documents for the property, now therefore be resolved that the Town Board amends the resolution of September 13th, 2016 to read as follows. And the only line that is changed is the third stanza down, where it says, whereas Mr. Carl Dibble of Hunter Lot LLC was the successful bidder at a bid price of $51,000.
Motion.
Second.
All those in favor? Aye. Opposed? Abstention.
A resolution authorizing the State of New York to incorporate the relocation of the existing 8-inch sanitary sewer facilities for the Town of Ossining, the town, in the contract for the replacement of culverts pin 8812.14/D262855 SH768, County of Westchester, the contract. Whereas Section 10, Subdivision 27 of the New York Highway Law provides, in part, that the Commissioner of Transportation shall have the power, upon the request of the municipality, to perform for and at the expense of the State of New York any work of construction or reconstruction, including the removal and relocation of facilities, and including the acquisition of permanent easements, provided the Commissioner of Transportation deems it practicable to perform such work in connection with the performance of any work of construction, reconstruction, or improvement. And whereas the State of New York is presently preparing contract plans for the construction, reconstruction, or improvement of culvert replacements, which involves the relocation of sewer facilities and acquisition of permanent easements. And whereas said construction, reconstruction, or improvement can be undertaken in conjunction with the construction of the aforesaid culvert replacement at a substantial ultimate savings to the Town of Ossining. And whereas the town will provide the New York State Department of Transportation with Westchester County Health Department approved plans for the relocation of the 8-inch sanitary sewer facilities. And whereas pursuant to Section 10, Subdivision 24 of the Highway Law, the town of Ossining has requested the state will provide for the relocation of sewers, including acquisition of permanent easements as shown on the contract plans relating to the project. And whereas the service life of the relocated and/or replaced utilities has not been extended, now therefore be it resolved that the town of Ossining in regular meeting convened petitions the New York State Department of Transportation as follows. Petition 1, the state of New York is hereby authorized to proceed with the necessary arrangements to incorporate the relocation of the existing 8-inch sanitary sewer relocation as designed by the town in the contract for the construction, reconstruction, or improvements of replacement of culverts with the cost of said construction and necessary work in connection therewith, in addition to the acquisition of permanent easements to be borne by the state of New York. Petition 2, the town of Ossining will maintain said sewer subsequent to the construction thereof. Petition 3, the town of Ossining will accept the property rights acquired for the sewer relocation via a quit claim deed, that should be Q-U-I-T, claim deed, subsequent to the construction thereof, and make accommodations for said acceptance. Petition 4, this resolution shall take effect immediately. Be it further resolved that the supervisor of the town of Ossining is hereby authorized to execute all necessary agreements, certifications, deeds, or documents on behalf of the town of Ossining with the New York State Department of Transportation to accept said property rights. And be it further resolved that the clerk of this board is hereby directed to transmit 5 certified copies of the foregoing resolution to the New York State Department of Transportation.
Motion. Amended. Motion as amended. So we had a motion and a second as amended. Are there any questions? Basically, this is, as we've discussed previously, the state is undertaking to replace some culverts at the intersection of 9A and 134, and one of our sewer lines is currently underneath the culvert, and it needs to be moved. As a result of that, there are some pieces in place that are on local property owners' property, and this basically authorizes the state to obtain a permanent easement to do work on that property. Then they will hand over the easement to the town, who will accept it for that particular area where the work is going to be done. As we discussed before, the state is paying for all this work to be done, including the moving of the sewer pipe. We paid to have plans designed. We recently got word that Department of Health has approved the plans for the sewer line as well as the water line, which the village is responsible for. And I believe that the state is hoping to start work fairly soon, as soon as all the details are ironed out. So are there any other questions about this particular resolution? Hearing none. All those in favor? Aye. Opposed? Abstentions? Thank you very much. But I realize I never gave an explanation either, so I want to do that.
Okay, so this next resolution is similar to Resolution C. Another person who purchased a property in the foreclosure auction wishes to be known in the closing documents by a different name. Whereas the town board of the town of Ossining passed a resolution on Tuesday, September 13th, 2016, accepting the high bid for 27 Seaport Road, auctioned on August 10th, 2016. And whereas the high bidder was named as Pedro Silva of INP Realty Corp. Ossining, and would now like to be identified differently as 27 Seaport Corp. in all purchase documents for the property. Now therefore be it resolved that the town board amends the resolution of September 13th, 2016 to read as follows. And again, it is the third stanza that has changed, whereas Mr. Pedro Silva of 27 Seaport Corp. was a successful bidder at a bid price of $159,000.
A motion? Questions? All those in favor? Aye. Opposed? Abstention?
Whereas pursuant to a judgment of foreclosure for unpaid taxes entered by the Supreme Court of the State of New York, Westchester County, the town of Ossining conducted an auction of foreclosed properties at 16 Croton Avenue at 1 p.m. on August 10, 2016, in order to sell off properties with delinquent taxes owed to the town of Ossining, one of which was 18 Sarah Street, tax ID 89.15-4-50. And whereas all present had the opportunity to register and become qualified bidders to bid on the 3 properties for sale, there should be 4 properties for sale, under the condition that the party offering the highest purchase price be awarded the property, subject to a resolution approving such sale by the town board of the town of Ossining. And whereas Mr. William A. Wilman A. Morocho, Ossining, was a successful bidder at a bid price of $70,000. And whereas Mr. Morocho contacted the receiver of taxes and expressed that he is no longer interested in the sale and will default his $2,500 deposit. And whereas the receiver of taxes contacted the second highest bidder, Mr. Mark Brown, Bronx, New York, who bid $69,000 and who expressed that he would like to purchase the property. Now therefore be it resolved that the town accepts the high bid of $69,000 for the property at 18 Sarah Street, submitted by Mr. Mark Brown. The town is authorized to accept the deed for the property from the receiver of taxes in a form approved by council to the town, and the town supervisor is authorized to execute a deed, as well as all required transfer documents in forms acceptable to council to the town, effectuating the sale of the premises to the high bidder upon receipt by the town of the bid price. Furthermore, upon conveyance of the property to the high bidder, the bidder will pay all real property taxes for the property, as adjusted from the date of conveyance, with all additional accrued interest and/or penalties that may have accrued against the property for unpaid taxes through the day of conveyance being hereby waived.
We have a motion. Questions?
As amended.
As amended, sorry. Motion as amended. So, again, I just want to remind everybody that we will be closing on this property September 27th, which is why we tried to put these into a special meeting tonight, so that we can have everything in order and ready for closing on the 27th. And we thank Silverbrooks Atlantis for all the hard work that they've done along with our receiver of taxes to get everything in order for that day. All those in favor? Aye. Opposed?
Whereas the town board has been advised by the building inspector that the property located at 67 Old Albany Post Road and shown on the tax map as section 80.14, block 1, lot 12, the property, is overgrown with weeds and grass that are spreading into the street and causing a hazard to drivers. And whereas this has been an issue on this property for more than 1 year, as the property's owner was previously issued a court appearance ticket for this hazard, but yet the hazard condition remains on the property. And whereas the building inspector issued the property owner a notice of an order to remedy violation for this hazard and other illegal conditions on the property on August 10, 2016, but the owner did not remedy the conditions within 30 days by September 10, 2016, as required by the notice. And whereas there continues to exist on the property a hazardous condition that is only increasing and becoming more dangerous with time. Now therefore be it resolved that the town board authorizes the building inspector to send a notice to the property owner in accordance with Town Code Section 60-2 to clean and remove the weeds and grass on the property that are spreading into the street and causing a hazard to drivers within 15 days of the mailing of the notice, and a copy of this resolution shall be included with the notice. And be it further resolved, in the event the property owners did not cure the hazardous condition within 15 days of the mailing of the notice by the building inspector, the town highway department and/or an independent contractor, as determined to be appropriate and necessary by the building inspector, is hereby authorized to clean and remove the hazardous condition in accordance with Town Code Section 60-3. And be it further resolved, the reasonable cost of doing the work necessary to remove the hazardous condition on the property shall be charged to the property, which cost shall be assessed and shall constitute a lien and charge on the property in accordance with Town Code Section 60-3.
Motion? Questions?
So why is it that we have to authorize the building inspector to do this rather than the building inspector being allowed to issue his own violation or his or her own, whoever the building inspector at the time is, on violation?
Because that's the way your code is drafted.
And
Chapter 60 of your code deals specifically with this situation where there's a condition, a hazardous condition caused by weeds, grass, or other, I guess, growths or structures on the property. And in order for it to be able to be cleaned by the town or at the direction of the town, and the cost put on the property through a lien, it requires the oversight of the town board. Certainly that's something that the board could look into. I know the building inspector was a little frustrated by the situation when it was when he brought it to the attention of the supervisor and council earlier today, because obviously this is a situation that he's been dealing with and would like to be able to move forward, but in order to proceed in accordance with your code and make sure that everything proceeds orderly so that you can be sure to recoup that cost, this is the procedure that should be followed. But it certainly was a recommendation of the building inspector that that the board consider amending the code so that he can take action on his own.
Well, I would agree with that in terms of this thing squarely within a building inspector's purview to be able to do that job. And we should definitely look to change this code to change an impediment to be able to do the very thing that we're talking about. We're talking about zombie houses. This isn't a zombie house, but in the world of the state of New York looking into these issues in the county and whatever, I absolutely believe that anything that can provide an accelerated avenue towards, remedying these kind of license situations should absolutely. Plus, not so much that I think that it's great that we have to give up all this information on this poor property owner, even though they are part of something that's not so wonderful. I don't know that it's wonderful that we have to identify. We do have to identify legally, probably within the resolutions, but if we can circumvent that and have the building department do it, that would be great.
Anybody else? All right, all those in favor? Aye. Opposed? Abstention? Anybody else have anything to add before we say goodnight to everybody? I want to thank everybody for watching along with us tonight, as I think we had some great presentations. I'm very excited about these upcoming initiatives that we spoke about, from Austin Basics to our biking, hiking, and open space corridor plan that will hopefully come to fruition in the next few years, to our Oregon Donor Enrollment Day on October 6th. Please stay tuned for more information, and we look forward to seeing you around town this weekend. Have a great evening, everybody. We'll see you next week at our regularly scheduled meeting at the courthouse on Tuesday night, I forget the date, September 27th. Any additional?
Can we have a motion to adjourn?
Oh yeah, we'll have a motion to adjourn.